Okay, so I don't know if you guys can hear me now. I had to get a new laptop, different laptop, and different headset, and then reinstall a plugin and reinvite Carly, and hopefully now you can actually hear me. Sorry, we're like 30 minutes late. Dios mío, but hopefully you can hear me. It says, I see my little...
I can hear you.
Hooray! Otherwise, I'm just talking to myself and gesturing wildly.
Yeah.
I'm like, son of a bitch. This is
I'm
so
like,
annoying.
I should have practiced reading lips.
I know, right? Oh, good golly, Miss Molly. Okay. Okay, so and I can hear you too. And hopefully all of you out there can hear us both, because about to get this party started. I'm gonna need more coffee.
Word.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. I got like 5 hours of sleep.
Oh my God. And I have no makeup on, so I apologize, everybody. Let's see.
We don't care.
I know, right? I mean, love it or leave it, right? Okay, let's see. So I have questions. The first question I actually answered to myself, because I thought people could hear me while I was waiting for us to figure your stuff out, was someone had asked, I think her name was Megan. She asked about the fact that she was trying to reach out for help, and her mom already struggles with depression, anxiety, and stuff like that. And she was saying that she also thinks she has depression, and she thinks she has a learning disability, and she's having a hard time at school, but she's been trying to talk to her mom to get her more help, and her mom isn't doing anything. And she was like, what do I do? And the great thing is, and I only know in the state of California, but I believe that in the United States, it's all the same. As long as you're at least 12 years old, advocate for yourself in a lot of ways. If your parents get divorced, you get to have a say in who you want to stay with. If you want to go into therapy on your own, you can, as long as you actually can participate and you're able to pay the fee or whatever, and they don't have to involve your parents. And you can go to school and talk to the school counselor, talk to your teachers, and have them set up a meeting, because you can tell them that you think you have a learning disability and you're having a hard time. We can advocate for ourselves. We don't have to have our parents involved. Yes, it'd be ideal, but I recognize that not everyone's familial situation is ideal. So yeah, so that was my first question that I had already answered to myself.
Yeah.
Do you?
So you answered that whole question and then nobody could hear you?
Yeah, and then you got on or whatever, and then we were like, why can't? And you're like, I can't hear you. And then I was like, shit, that didn't work. But we fixed it. I think something's wrong with my other laptop, because when I shut down the Hangout and tried to open another one, it was like, check your settings, because your speakers aren't working. And I was like, no shit, Sherlock. Wow. Thanks for the heads up. So, okay.
It says the Q&A feature is disabled. So if those, like the questions last time were listed, and then when we were answering them, the thing turned blue. Yeah, it says it's disabled. So I'm not sure why that is.
Available. Says you've joined group chat. What is choose links? Q&A. Let me see. This feature is disabled? Okay. I'm like, how do I make you not disabled? Sorry. It's always new. It's always like a learning curve.
Yeah, it really is. They change Google all the time.
So annoying. I'm like, I finally got the hang of it. Just leave it how it was. I can't see. I wonder if I can control. No. I wonder how to enable it. Oh, if I can get to that button fast enough. It shows up at the top. That is ridiculous. And then it goes away to turn it on and off.
Oh my gosh.
That is ridiculous. I don't know how to turn it on, boys and girls. It won't let me.
Oh my gosh, okay.
But I have the ones from my Google Plus. If you've added me on Google Plus, you can it's like through GChat kind of. And you can ask questions, and people have been doing that. Okay, somebody asked the question, do you suggest going to the emergency department, emergency room, if you're feeling the urgency to self-harm? I am needing to go to the hospital. Should I go? Have you ever had to go to the hospital, Carly? I don't know what your situation is.
No. No, I never have.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that if you're just feeling the urge to self-harm, they will not admit you. And they can, I have a love-hate with the hospital, because sometimes, I mean, there are a few, even in LA, with, you know, all of the hospitals that are around and like all of the knowledge that exists, and it's a big city and there should be lots of mental health help and there are lots of therapists and stuff. But when you go to the hospital, those are medical students and they don't always take mental health stuff that seriously, or they may kind of shove you to the side and you have to wait for the psych eval, and it's not always it's not warm and fuzzy, number one. There's not always a therapist there. A lot of times we're on call. Like I used to work in the hospitals, but I worked in like the separate building with the mental health stuff. And when someone would come in, they call over to us and we send the person as soon as we can. And it could take us like an hour. It could be in the middle of a session or a group. Or so if you just have the urge to self-harm and not commit suicide, if you're suicidal, take yourself to the hospital, call 911, they'll send the PET team, any of that thing, like do whatever you can to help yourself. But if you are having the urge to self-harm, distract. I have a self-harm workbook that has a lot of ideas in there about that, ways to help yourself. I have a video about distraction plan, or like a suicide prevention plan. I would encourage you, obviously, to utilize all those resources. I know when you're in the grips of it, it's hard to do it then. But if you really feel like you're going to self-harm, call a friend, call a therapist. If you have a therapist, call someone, get out of the house, get yourself away from things to self-harm. But I wouldn't go to the emergency room, because I don't think they're going to give you the help you need. And that, I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's just, as far as I know, the honest truth. Okay, let's see if I can get this Q&A thing going, and maybe, I was so fast that time. I almost caught the button before it disappeared. I don't understand that at all. Google, why?
Just leave them up. Like, it should be an option to hide the toolbar or whatever.
Yeah,
not, like,
and
hide it automatically.
It like covers it in blue. It like comes up, it's like it's switched to off, and then it goes poof, and it covers it in blue. And if I move my mouse, I thought maybe I'd get there fast enough. Can you see the questions, Carly, from the Google Plus area? I have it in a whole separate window.
Maybe if I go to your page.
Yes, probably. Because I have, let's see. Okay, this is a good question. I'll just roll off with questions, and we can see if you can figure out a way. Or people can ask them on Twitter. If you're on Twitter right now, since we're having trouble with the Q&A, let's maybe, you know, get our get that going. Do it in Twitter, because that might be easier. So anyway, so someone said, people are calling me anorexic, and I wondered if it's still possible for someone to be anorexic even if they still eat, because I personally don't think I am, even though I do have many of the symptoms, but I eat almost a meal every day, or eat meals a day. Now, eating disorders, first of all, if any of you are on Twitter and stuff, send out your recommendations for eating disorder videos. I feel like I haven't done one in a while for a Monday video, and so I'm looking for content. So send your ideas and questions. Do you want to talk about this, Carly? Sorry. Do you want to answer this one, or do you want me to talk about it?
It cut out. I didn't. The volume cut out.
Oh, gotcha. Did you hear the question or no?
People were calling her anorexic, and she's
wondering if it's possible to still be even if you eat.
Well, isn't the diagnosis for, like, the diagnostic criteria for anorexia, you have to be like a certain percentage underweight or something?
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
I'm not sure it would necessarily, like I feel like you could still eat, and I mean, I don't know, you're the professional, obviously, but I feel like you could still be anorexic and eat, but just have to meet the diagnostic criteria is what I would guess. Yeah.
And that's the truth of it. I mean, if we're talking diagnostically, like if you're asking if you can have anorexia and still eat sometimes, yeah, you can. But like Carly said, the diagnostic criteria is that you have to be underweight. You have to have a intense, I forget the exact terminology, it escaped me, but it's like you're so focused on your body, your weight, how much you're eating, how much you're exercising or whatever, you're so obsessed with that it takes up a majority of your brain space. I mean, that honestly, it just, as far as clinically speaking, and even calling insurances to get coverage, if you are in eating disorder world in your head for a majority, so over 50% of your day is eating disorder thoughts, then you have an eating disorder. And it may not be anorexia because, like Carly said, that has different diagnostic criteria, but that you have an eating disorder. And there are 3 of them, well, 4 of them now. And I forget what EDNOS is because it's so ridiculous that I just prefer to call it EDNOS.
Like, yeah, it's like, so much easier to call it EDNOS than whatever the stupid name is that they changed it to. And
someone in the comments is going to be like, Katie, it's called blah, blah, blah. So thank you guys for letting me know. But I'm like, shit, why make it so difficult? So EDNOS is what I'll always call it. But because that's just makes sense. But then anorexia, bulimia, and now we have binge eating disorder. So even if you're overeating, if you're worried, thinking about getting food, eating food, any of that, you have an eating disorder. And I would encourage you to reach out for help and support. If you can't afford a therapist, look into group therapy because that can sometimes be cheaper. There are a lot of options out there. So,
and there's your
it doesn't have to look just one way. Huh?
And there's your eating disorder workbook.
Exactly. Hey. Thanks, Carly. You're always doing that stuff. I didn't realize how long your hair is getting.
It's insanely long. It's pretty. Thank you. It's driving me insane. I have this like weird undercut shit that I'm trying to grow out. Yeah. And I have a wedding that I'm in on Halloween. So I'm like trying to figure out if it's going to be long enough to be able to do something with it, or if I'm going to have to, literally cut my losses and get like a mohawk again or something.
Exactly. Cut my losses. Yeah. No, there are those, not that I'm pushing any kind of pill or vitamin, but there's a biotin or whatever you can take to make your hair grow like crazy fast.
Yeah, my hair grows fast anyway, and then
perfect.
I take that too, so
doubly fast.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Okay, so let's see.
I can see the on your Google Plus thing. I see like people have left comments.
Yeah, you can see them as you scroll down.
I only see 3 right now. Let me refresh.
Let's see. Okay, this is a question from Sammy. Hey, Sammy Scribble. She says, are things different in California concerning ethics and client-therapist relationship as they are in the UK? There's no way you would get the kind of relationship you and Courtney have. I want to move to California / Los Angeles. It's actually an interesting question because ethical and legal stuff changes state to state, not even just like country to country. And although I can't speak about people who were my patient, are my patient, used to be, and it doesn't, that's something I can't do. But as far as the therapeutic relationship, that shouldn't be any different. I know that it can be hard in the UK and other parts of the world because you don't get a lot of sessions and you wait forever. I've learned going to Scotland just showed me how long people can wait to get help, and it was like so ridiculous. But I know you can wait for months and months and months to see someone, and then you only get like 8 sessions. And so the problem, I know, it's like first you wait, what did they say? First you wait 6 to 8 weeks to see your regular doctor. Usually I think it's like 6 weeks is the max. And from there, for a specialist, which a therapist apparently is a specialist, then you can wait up to, was it 12 weeks, I want to say? I don't think I'm exaggerating. 12 more weeks on top of that. And then you only get a limited number of sessions. So
I'd never understood the limited number of session thing. Like we had that at my college, and it was like 6 sessions. And I was like, excuse me, are you kidding? But my therapist just like snuck me in anyway, so it was fine.
Well, and there are things on that note that they can sneak you in. There are things as a therapist I know that we can do to get you the help you need, to get you more sessions. Whether it's what they call a parity diagnosis, which means, like anything would fall into it. eating disorder, self-harm, severe depression, any kind of thing like that can qualify you for more sessions. Your therapist just needs to know how to go about it. Yeah. And so if you just say like, I need more sessions, because 6 sessions, to go back to kind of what Sammy said, like you can't get to know someone that well. But I mean, I've been seeing some clients for years, years. And so it's almost like, I mean, I even have people that come back from college that haven't seen, they've been away, and then when they're back, they'll see me for a bit and then they go away. And so it's like, I've been seeing them, I watch them grow up. Like that relationship can't exist in a world where you only get maybe 6 to 10 sessions, because that's very limiting. I mean, a lot of my patients I see twice a week. You burn through that like boom in a month. So, kind of crazy.
Yeah. And how are you supposed to I feel like six sessions would be, or say 6 or 8 sessions or whatever would just be just maybe hitting the surface, or like getting to the point where you might be able to talk about the more difficult things, Yeah. I don't know.
Exactly. Because it takes a while to warm up, right? We can't walk in and be like, here's all of my business, deal with it. Because we don't know them. It's awkward. So
very much
good
so.
Question, Sammy. Do you have any questions on Twitter? I think I'm just going to toggle over to Twitter.
Let's see. I have a couple notifications.
These are like old questions, so I'm going to get out of the Google. I'm going to get out of that because that's not. I'm going to go over to Twitter. So get on Twitter, everybody, and follow either Carly or myself and ask us your questions. I don't know why Q&A won't turn on. It's so annoying.
Yeah, that's really weird.
I don't know what to do. I'm like, is it a plugin? Then I'll just upload or download some freaking plugin.
Yeah, at first it said that because I was in Firefox, and then it was like, hey, download this plugin, and I was like, okay, but it said verifying plugin, and then like ... and it kept saying that, and I was like, are you kidding me? So I just switched to Google Chrome, because I was like, it's Google, so maybe that'll work.
Google likes itself, yeah. It only likes to work with itself. Sweet mother of God. Okay, I'm in Twitter. Let's see. Okay, cool. People are asking questions.
Sweet.
Oh, and somebody asked, and this is a good question on top of what we talked about, is using the ER for depression really not that great? This is a good question. It can be, like I said, if you're suicidal and if you're feeling really down and you need a safe place to put yourself, because that's really what I always tell my clients to use the hospital for. Because I prefer them to call me, to email me, to call a friend, to call a family member, someone in their life that can help them and be a support. Even if it's a group meeting or attending something or just getting out, like anything to help you, I would encourage you to do that first, because the hospital for me in my practice is like a last minute, last resort. Like, we have nothing else to do. I need you just to be safe for 3 days. So we'll put you there, keep you safe, and then we'll pull you out and then we'll work on stuff. And so I would try to view the hospital as like a last resort. It can be helpful. There's an exception to every rule. I haven't had that great of an experience, and my clients haven't had that great of an experience at a hospital. But there are psych nurses that are there. There are psychiatrists. There are therapists that are available, and they will see you, but it's a very short, quick assessment. How are you doing? I mean, I used to have these huge packs of paper, and I'd do like this, what was it called? Like the brief, I don't know what it's called. It was like a mini-mental. That's what we call it, the mini-mental status exam. And it'd be like, do you know where you are? What year is it? Count backwards from 10. Like all these little questions. And so I'm just assessing you, like, are you psychotic? Do you need to be medicated? Are you suicidal? When did you last attempt? Like, it's just basic stuff. It's not like, how are you feeling? So yeah. I think I'd use it as a last resort, not as a place to go. That's that.
Yeah, that makes me think of the one time you mentioned in your one of your FAQ videos about how there are depression scale tests that doctors or therapists can give the patient to self-rating kind of things. And one time I went to the doctor on campus for what turned out to be a stress fracture in my foot. But while I was there, I had just talked to my therapist the day before, and she was like, yeah, you should probably, you know, talk to a doctor about getting back on antidepressants because of my mood disorder. And I was like, okay, I mean, I wasn't suicidal or anything like that, but I was in a dark place. I needed to be on medicine.
You felt yourself kind of going down. Yeah.
Yeah. And she was like, yeah, you can just go and, you know, talk to the doctor on campus at the health center, and, you know, I'm sure they could, you know, put you on something. So I said something about it, and they had me fill out this stupid rating scale. I have reading comprehension issues, and also like ADD, and I wasn't really paying attention. I didn't really think it was that important. I was just like, okay, whatever. And
check, whatever.
Yeah, I was like circling numbers, and I had slept a lot more that weekend because I was depressed and stuff, and I was sleeping a lot. But
that can happen.
Yeah, they looked at that and they were like, we need to send you to get evaluated by a care team. And I was like, excuse me? And I've actually forgot about that. I was so thrown off, and I was just completely livid. And the nurse was like, you don't seem very happy. And I was like, to be like, I'm usually very calm around in situations like that. And I was just, my face was beet red. I was so mad. And so they wouldn't let me leave until someone came to get me. All my friends were in class. I was completely outraged.
You were suicidal. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I have a mood disorder. I'm not like, I'm depressed. I'm not going to kill myself. I'm not going to hurt anybody. Like, I promise you, I don't know what else to tell you, whatever. So someone that it was a neighbor that I barely knew came to get me. And then because of that, she was like, yeah, why don't you just stay here? And like, didn't want me to go back to my apartment. I was like, oh my gosh. So I had to go. Yeah, it was horrible. I was late for my foot x-ray appointment and all this stuff. And I was like, I told the guy, I was like, sir, with all due respect, I had to wait like over an hour to be seen by the like intro guy or something. And I was like, sir, with all due respect, I have a mood disorder. I am not going to hurt myself or anyone else, blah, blah, blah. And I just explained the situation to him. And they let me go because I had the appointment. But they called me that. They were like, you're going to come back, right? And I left. I was like, I'm not going back. And they
like, no way.
They called me at like 8:30 and they're like, are you coming back? And I was like, no. And like, my therapist called the health center and let them have it and was like, I just evaluated her yesterday. She's not suicidal.
Yeah.
And tried to explain the situation and everything. And it was just annoying. And the place that I had to go to be evaluated, they called the health center to tell them that I arrived. And I was just like, this is a little
too much.
Yeah. So I'm not a fan of those rating scales.
Needless to say, yes, and I had to give those all the time. That was like 25% of my job at one point.
Oh my gosh.
I know, right? And it can be, I mean, obviously some of us would need the help. We'd want people to make us assess or evaluate us. Like sometimes we're screaming for help. But it can be confusing when we're just looking for one little portion because our therapist told us we need to get the medication or whatever. And you're like, this should be lickety split, and it's not. So, be prepared for that. They're always going to assess you. And since they don't have the relationship with you, like your therapist did, they're going to assume things. And I don't know if this would have helped at all, but like, I would always encourage you, if you have a person as part of your treatment team already, and you're going into another area to get some other treatment like Carly was talking about, let them know about your other person, like your therapist or your psychiatrist or whatever. And I would encourage them, like I would be like, please call them if you're worried because they know me best, like try to have you talk to them, because sometimes as clients, because I even have my own therapist, and even as a client, sometimes we don't know exactly what to say to make them like go away. Like, hey, I'm not going to kill myself. Can you let me go? I got an appointment in my foot and all the, like we don't know what words they were looking to hear from you to let you go. Like, and your therapist might have known, like could have talked to them and been like, hey, chill out.
Yeah, she called the health center and talked to the nurse practitioner that was like ordered me to go. And she explained the situation and they were like, well, it doesn't matter. She already filled out the assessment, and according to this, she needs to go be evaluated. And I was like, I'm depressed. I admit this. I'm not hard on myself or others.
That's why I'm here, because I can feel it. But depression and suicidality, yes, they can go together, but they're not, it's not like because you have one, you have the other, you know?
Yeah.
Come on, people. But also sometimes in those little clinics, there are people who aren't trained very well.
Yeah.
You know, and that can be frustrating. Okay, so let's see. Rachel asks, can you give tips to deal with flashbacks, emotions, or scared feeling like it's happening again in sexual abuse recovery? Do you have any experience with flashbacks, Carly?
I do, unfortunately. They suck. And I still get flashbacks a lot, and
I'm sorry. I'm working on that with quite a few clients right now. It's hard.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's just like, I basically just tried, I don't know if this is the healthiest way to do it, but I'm not currently in therapy anymore. I don't know. I just distract because it's upsetting. And then I feel like I have a flashback, and then I start thinking about other things that happened around that time that tie into that. And it's just sort of a cycle that I don't want to get into. I feel like it's not good for me to dwell on it and, you know, make myself depressed or whatever. I mean, I have to deal with the depression and the mood stuff and the borderline and anxiety and all that crap anyway. So I feel like it's just not a cycle that I want to put myself in if I can help it. So honestly, I just try to distract, get some positive stuff.
And I don't think that's bad. I mean, I would tell my clients to do the same. Other than distract, like in the moment stuff, I know for many of you out there who've had any kind of trauma, it doesn't have to be sexual abuse. It could just be something related to PTSD, whether it's physical abuse or witnessing domestic violence. It could be a number of things that have happened to you, witnessing an accident. Everyone's PTSD experience can be very different. With that said, seeing a therapist, and as awful and terrible as it is to talk about it, you have to start talking about it in detail, getting it out there. And I know it's hard. Like I honestly feel like all but one of my clients right now is going through something like this, and everybody's at different stages, right? And when we first start talking about it, it's horribly, horribly hard. And and you like don't want to bring it up. You don't want to talk about it. It's like so painful. But I promise it gets better and it gets easier. And the more we talk about it, the less power it has over us, the less flashbacks we have, the less fear responses we have when stuff happens. All that gets better. It sounds weird that talking about it makes it better, but talking it through and not being the only one that knows about it can make it better.
Yeah, I think that's like that with a lot of things. For example, I was just talking to, I am in St. Louis with my best friend, and we went last night to do something with her new friends. And in terms of borderline, that's not always the easiest thing to deal with. So there was something that happened that triggered a little borderline thing. But if I talk about it, if I just say, okay, this happened, I'm not saying it's logical, but it triggered this thought, and this is what it snowballs from there or whatever. If I talk about it, it kind of squashes it and puts it to an end and just makes it less painful. So, and I've had that experience with the PTSD stuff. Like, there are not many people that know what went on with my parents' divorce and all that, the trauma.
Yeah.
But when I have, talked about it, it's not easy. I mean, I'm, most of the time start sobbing. I mean, I cry and everything anyway, but,
Me too. No shame.
Yeah. But it helps. It does help.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. And it's good to hear from you also that it helped you, because I don't know, as a therapist, sometimes it's like, I know research wise what's supposed to feel better, what's supposed to help. And like, I know that it does get better, and I've seen a couple of clients do better with it. Like, but I haven't had it happen personally. And so sometimes it's like nice to hear that, okay, yeah, if I just say stuff out loud, like if I do talk about it, it does get better, and then it doesn't end up turning into a bigger thing than it needs to. you know,
Yeah.
like we keep going with it. And that's the thing about people who worry about flashbacks, or even like the borderline thing, like, okay, this triggered something in me. It was like a poking my button. And then if I kept it in, it could have turned from this like little problem into this like ginormous thing in my head. And then I lash out. And, you know, there's a lot of things can come out of that, even from flashbacks. If we're holding them in and they're happening all the time, we can like have a panic attack or lash out at a friend or have an episode at work and embarrass ourselves. And, you know, stuff can come out of it that could potentially have been stopped.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
For sure.
Okay, let's see. Oh, and I always forget, give this a thumbs up if you like this, because something interesting that I'm learning, and I'm learning about YouTube all the time because it's always changing. When we give things thumbs up, when we share and when we do things like that, YouTube promotes more mental health videos in general. They populate more of the vlogs that everybody else is doing talking about mental health. They populate my video content, and people will have it pop up. You know how sometimes when you finish a video and it'll come up on the screen, it's like, you might also want these things.
Yeah.
YouTube will, and you're like, I do like kittens. Why? How do you know?
Or Katy Perry.
Totally. And you're like, shame, YouTube, you know too much about me. But it's really good for us to take the time just to like videos, my videos, Carly's videos, people who put out information about mental health, because the more we tell YouTube that mental health is important, the more people that we can bring awareness to, the more people we can reach as a whole mental health community. Yeah, because there's a lot of other mental health YouTubers, and the more we can all help one another, the better. So make sure you like the videos and share them if you feel comfortable, you know. I try to say that as much as I can because I think it's important, but I forget. Let's see. Do you see any other questions on Twitter that you like?
Let's see.
Jess May asked, is it selfish for someone to want to kill themselves when they know that there's been suicide in the family already? What are your thoughts on that? Ugh, I had a tickle hair. Do you guys ever have a hair in the back of your shirt and you're like, good
yes.
God, tickling?
Yes, I have. Tickling. Probably more times than
I know, but I found it. So now we're free.
That's good. To the selfishness or whatever, I would just say that if someone is suicidal, I would say that they're just not thinking clearly at all.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't think that, I don't know. I might have said this in the last hangout, but I can't remember, but whatever, I'll say it again.
I can't remember. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I know. It was like 5 months or something. But I said to my therapist one time that I don't think anyone actually wants to die.
No.
Like I would rather be dead. They just want whatever is happening to not be happening anymore.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
You know, it's just like they know that will do that, and that's so sad. But actually, there was a kid that I went to school with. He was a couple years younger than me, and he killed himself earlier this week. And
I'm sorry, I didn't even know.
Yeah, it's I wasn't close with him or anything. My dad actually coached him in grade school, but I went to grade school, the last year of grade school anyway, with him, and it was, it's very sad, and it was very publicized because of the way he did it, and and it's, I don't know, it's a complicated thing. Obviously, clearly he wasn't thinking, he wasn't in his right mind, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how to tie that in, but
no, but you bring up a good point. You bring up the point that it's not that people want to be dead.
Who wants to
dead?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just that they feel like there's no way out. That's usually what people report. So because I actually did a video about this and got a lot of heat for saying that it can hurt the people around them or whatever. And people are like, how dare you say that that's selfish or whatever. I'm like, I'm not saying it's selfish. Like we know if we're going to commit suicide that it's going to have a negative effect on those who love us. Obviously.
Yeah.
But I think like Carly made a really good point that it's not that the people who attempt or commit suicide want to be dead. It's that the chaos that's going on in their life or in their mind or both, it is too much, and they feel hopeless. That's probably the number one thing that people report. And that's when I worry with my clients, when they say like, I just feel really hopeless, or I don't want to do anything and everything just seems worthless. And, that kind of feeling, like they just feel trapped. And so I would in no way say that suicide is selfish. I would say that it does have a negative effect on the people that are left behind, and it's hard to lose someone that we love. But I think that we're not in our right mind. And if you or someone that is close to you is suicidal and is talking about it in a real way, let them know there are hotlines. There are online chats 24/7. There's the website. Obviously I try to keep that a safe place, so it's not a place to go and just talk about your suicidal thoughts. I would encourage you to call a hotline or get on a hotline. But if you're just needing some connection, that's kind of what my website is for. Carly's on there a lot, and I think that's a fair statement, that like it's just a place to get some human connection, to know that people care. But if you're feeling extremely suicidal, I would encourage you to get on one of the suicide chats. They have those online. They have 24/7 hotlines. I used to have 2 friends who would volunteer their time for the hotline, and you have this huge old school cell phone that they make you carry around, but you're available, and people can call, and we're there to talk. And I think that there are I know it feels hopeless, and I know you feel lost, but there are a lot of options out there other than that. And so I'd encourage you to look into those and get the help you need, so that you don't feel so helpless and hopeless, because there is hope. Things can get better.
Yeah, I made a video earlier this week about that, and I called it, it's never, and put never in caps, it's never okay to give up. And I talked about the kid I went to school with and whatnot. And I talked about your video and how because that wasn't that long ago that someone asked that. And I commented and said, hell to the no, it's never okay to give up. And it got like 20 plus ones or something. So I was glad that, people agree.
Exactly. And it can feel like an overwhelming idea that like, but I have to keep dealing with this. But if you get the right support, if you reach out, if you let people know like, hey, I'm really having a hard time, fight back. Don't just let it take over. Don't let those dark thoughts just come in and completely cloud your mind, because that's when we act out of it. Like Carly was saying, like we act out of like, we're not in our right mind. We're not thinking clearly. Get some people in your life that can help support you and help you make, decisions that are healthy for you, good for you. And don't give up. There is hope. There is help out there. And I wouldn't have a job if people didn't feel that way. So don't think that you're alone in it or that it's weird, but that's why people exist, is to help. So reach out.
Yeah. And in the video, I mentioned a song by a band called Mates of State, and the song's Get Better. And in the chorus, they say, everything's going to get better, or everything's going to get lighter, even if it never gets better. And I really like that, because like, with like the mood disorder or whatever, there's no like cure. It's not just gonna, like, I can't just work through it and then it's a chemical thing, like, so in terms of like getting better, as in cured, it's not going to happen. I'm just going to have to deal with this, for the rest of my life. But it doesn't mean it can't improve. It doesn't mean it can't get lighter.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I really like that.
That is a good lyric. I like that too, because I know a lot of people with, borderline personality disorder, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, or whatever. They get into the suicidal mindset because, or people with depression that lasts, like for a really long time. They get in the mindset like, well, we'll never get better, so why even try? Like that's kind of what leads to the suicidal thoughts. Like, oh my God, I have to put up with this forever. But it can get lighter. Like you can, like Carly said, like she better manages her impulses, which is really hard to do. Like when something pokes your buttons.
Oh my gosh, yes.
To not react, to think, to respond. So you're like, okay, that really bugged me. I think this is why. Okay, like that takes work. Like you worked at that. Like, and it's more manageable. And I think that's as a therapist, the main thing that I try to get my clients to do is to better manage their symptoms, because we all have symptoms. Like, I am really stubborn and I get really frustrated when I'm hungry and things aren't going my way. I'll throw that out there. I get really frustrated, and my husband will attest to that. And I'm getting better because I recognize that, like, it makes me very difficult to deal with. Like, it's hard on him because I'm like, make this happen. But I've recognized over the years that, like, if I explain what's happening, I'm very hungry, I'm frustrated because this isn't working out the way that I wanted. I just need a minute. Don't try to fix it. You know, like, if I can talk it out, and I know that sounds silly, like that's like you're like, Katie.
I completely get it. It doesn't sound silly to me because I have to do that with the borderline stuff.
Yeah.
Even if I have to say it out loud to myself, like if someone heard me, I might sound ridiculous, but it helps. You got to do what works.
Yeah. And it helps me slow down my reaction to be like,
yes,
you know, because I really want to shout, but I'm like, that's not going to get me anywhere that I want to go. So, you know, and in life in general, like, things can get us fired up. There are buttons that people can poke. And no matter what that is, I think it's helpful to understand those buttons. Number one, where they are, what they are,
yes,
and what they do to us. That's the hardest, is learning what your buttons are. But, you know, we slowly do as people poke them and we lash out. And then how can we better manage them? And that's, like Carly and I are talking about, just talking it out. Even if you think you sound crazy, trust me, you don't, because everybody should be talking like that.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
Communication, man. That's like my biggest.
It saves all, really.
It really does.
It's hard, but it can totally save all.
Oh yeah, it's definitely not easy. Like, last night after the thing happened that, you know, triggered the borderline thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to talk back to it, but I still was upset by it. And then, you know, after we left, I was like really, really crabby in the car, and it was late too, so I was really tired. And then I was like saying things that, like, I was being kind of passive aggressive, but no, I mean, not as bad. It was more like I was like bitching about things that didn't actually bother me that much because I didn't want to say the thing that bothered me. I don't know. And then I was like, you know what? I know I'm going to cry, but I'm just going to do it. And I just started sobbing, but we talked about it and it was fine. And, you know.
Yeah. And it's just, there's something so not only healthy, but also, like, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but like, is true to yourself. Like, it helps you feel good about yourself when you can just be fully yourself. Like, when you own your shit, when I'm like, this is what's happening and this is why I'm freaking out. And like, I'm the same, Carly. I'm always like, I'm going to cry, but don't think that that's because I'm sad. I'm just overwhelmed or whatever, you know, because that's just what I do. But like, there's something so liberating about being able to own it, to be yourself, to let it out and to communicate it, because when you start doing that, you'll start to really feel like, or at least for me, it helps you really feel like you're coming to your own. Like, I can handle this. This is something I can work on. I recognize what's going, like, you're getting a better grip on it. And the more we can communicate and the more people we can surround ourselves with where we feel like we can actually be ourselves, the better. And bounds ago where I was like, toxic people, get them out, you know, keep the good, get rid of the toxic. Because then you can practice your communication. You can practice being yourself and owning your shit and being like, I'm frustrated because this happened and I'm just going to cry. And this is just what I need to do right now. And then I'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So 2 more questions. Does that sound good? Cool. Okay. Let's look. Is there any on Twitter that you thought looked good, or ones that you wanted to answer that kind of were like in your wheelhouse?
Blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Refresh. Okay. I see so many favorites. I'm trying to like sift through them.
Yep. Agreed. Well, this is a quick one I can answer. We can still do 2 more. But it says, why does your body hurt more when you're depressed? And to be truthful, a symptom of your depression. It's something that it's weird. this is why mental health, let me get on a soapbox for a second. This is why mental health is so important, because it affects our body, like directly. We can feel tired, we can feel achy, we can be more hungry, less hungry, sleep more, not sleep at all. It can really affect how we feel. And part of depression for many people is physical symptoms. That's why a lot of people who suffer from depression will first go to their regular doctor and be like, I don't know why I've been so tired during the day and then not able to sleep at night, and I have body aches. And a good doctor will be like, bing, I think they're depressed. And it's because our brain, we know this, right? I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know. Our brain really affects how we feel in our body.
Yes,
if our
absolutely.
mood is good, we have energy. If our, we feel like we can conquer the world. But if we feel like shit, our body feels like shit. And it's just a symptom of depression. It's just part of depression for many people. And I don't know the scientific background of why we have body aches, but my guess would be that it's because we don't have enough serotonin and dopamine in our brain, and that leads to some kind of shutdown of our body. And I don't know, but I don't know the exact, I don't even know if they know, because everything with the human brain, because we can't run tests on a live human brain, no one's going to allow someone to do that to them. We don't always know, it's always hypothesized. But we know that serotonin and dopamine are definitely related to a lot of mental illness, whether it be depression or schizophrenia or bipolar disorder or anything. Those are always some of the key players. So my guess would be that they cause the body aches. Blame them.
Yeah. And actually, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but I mean, maybe, I don't know. But I know some people have been prescribed antidepressants when they weren't like actually depressed, like they just had a lot of back pain or whatever. And it really
can help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually I just recently got on a migraine medicine. That shit is just magic.
I watched your vlog and you were like, I did not know this existed.
Yeah, but the thing that it does is that it messes with the serotonin levels in your brain, because it said, like, the doctor was like, okay, you cannot take certain antidepressants with this stuff because you can go into serotonin shock
syndrome. Yeah, that's scary shit.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's but yeah, serotonin can screw with all kinds of things. So
yeah, and it's funny, if anybody watched Sex and the City as much as I did when it was out, there's this joke that like Charlotte goes to her OB, her female doctor, for any guys. Sorry, you might want to click away for a second. This makes you uncomfortable. But she went to see her OBGYN and she had vulvodynia was the thing that they called her, whatever. And the lady's like, I'm going to prescribe you a mild antidepressant. Because it was like she had a yeast infection, but she didn't have a yeast infection. And she's like, why do I need an antidepressant? She's like, it's not for you, it's for your vagina. So the whole joke of the show was like, my vagina's depressed, ha ha ha. But it just shows how much like the chemical balance in our brain can affect other parts of our body, all parts. I mean, even like not to go into too much sexual stuff, but like guys that are depressed, men who have a lot of anxiety may have trouble getting it up at some point in time. And it's not to do with like an actual physical ailment, like their body cannot sustain an erection. It's like, I can't do it because my brain won't allow it. And it's stuff like that. Like we always, as a society, this is why mental health, we need more awareness, because as a society, we pretend that like things that go on in our brain, just like deal with it, get over it. But it affects everything from how well we can do our jobs to how well we can be a spouse, a friend, a family member, how our body feels, how well we can sleep, how well we're able to take care of ourselves in general. It affects everything. And so, yeah, take care of it. Okay, off my soapbox. Done with that.
Here's one.
Okay.
I'm wondering if Carly is ever afraid of going backwards and how she gets over that instead of letting the fear of failure take over. Now I can't remember what I just read.
Let's read it again.
I am afraid of going backwards. Absolutely. But I don't know, you just can't. I mean, sometimes it's not like I, never let the fear of failure get to me or anything like that. That's not the case even remotely. But to go back to the example of last night, part of the thing that I was like sobbing about, like I was crying before, and then I started talking about how, because I was so anxious that I was like pacing the floor before we left. I mean, it was like I took 2 or 3 valerian root capsules because I was like, please help, please help.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I spent like literally months, because we've been playing this for a long time, worrying about the borderline stuff, that I didn't see the anxiety of like meeting new people kind of thing get in the way.
Always hard.
Holy crap, yes it is. And
you're like, I was not prepared.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't even think the borderline thing is going to be an issue, because the people meeting thing / introvert inside of me is freaking out too much, whatever. So we got there, and it turned out to be one of those like, see, you had nothing to worry about, it's fine things. And that's more often the case than not, but it's a great feeling to have, I think, because then it's more of a relief, So, but we got, probably halfway through the evening, and I was like, I think I thought that I was going to go the rest of the night without a borderline thing happening. And then something out of nowhere that was, I mean, it took me a long time to figure out why it even triggered the borderline physical panic feeling. But it's actually really funny, but whatever. Anyway, and then when, I was like sobbing and like talking about it later, the thing that really upset me was that I thought I just wanted one night
of nothing.
Yes, exactly. And it didn't happen. And then that's when I started just sobbing, because I felt like the thing was that my friend plays music live now with these other people, and it upsets me because I feel like I'm not a part of that part of her life anymore. And I'm also really not good with things that are unfair. And, I feel like I deserve to be able to see her play. And these people that barely know her get to see her play all the time. So it was just not good. And the thing that triggered the borderline thing was literally someone said, do you have your mic with you, to my friend? And she was like, yeah. And that's what triggered it, because I didn't know that she had bought a microphone.
And that you didn't know that part of her life, and that spun into all the other stuff.
Exactly. And then that snowballed into, see,
I don't know anything about you anymore. And
exactly.
Why am I not a part of this? Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a very shitty feeling. And then I was worried because, I've been so passive aggressive in the past, like, you're stupid friends and blah, 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 very shitty things that I later apologized for. And she knows rationally that, I don't mean those things, but I just really wanted to be there. I wanted to be the friend that I know that I can be. And I was upset that I hadn't. And I felt like I went
backwards.
Yes. And I felt like I let her down and stuff like that. And when the microphone thing happened, she knew that it upset me, because, I mean, it was no one else would have known, but she knew.
No, but she knows you. Your body language probably changed. Your facial expression changed. And she was like, what happened?
Tone of voice. And she was like, I wasn't trying to keep it from you. I just didn't tell you. And I was like, no, it's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be there for her and support her. And she's like super introverted. And I'm just so proud of her that she's, up there playing guitar. And it's amazing. And I'm so, so, so proud of her. And I felt like I let her down. And she told me like this, because I got upset about the microphone. I didn't let it affect the experience though. But she explained to me like what felt like catastrophe to me in my mind, and what it snowballed into was, she was like, Carl, it's not that, like, it's not the same, like how you are interpreting it, And so she helped me realize that even if you go back a little bit, look how far you've come.
Yeah. And we're all going to have slip ups. I mean, not to quote the, process, not perfection, but that's the truth. Like, that is the way that it works. And the fact that she recognizes that. And I think sometimes we have to, for a second, if we're able to get out of our own head and think, okay, you know, from her, like, it's nice that she told you, like, that wasn't that big of a deal to me. You didn't ruin anything. Look at how far you've come. Like, she recognizes it. Sometimes it's good to get that feedback because it's hard for us to get out of our own head.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
we get stuck in it and be like, oh my God, I ruined everything, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I will admit that I'm an over apologizer. Like, if something has happened, I will say sorry at the moment, and I will say sorry later, I'll say sorry the next day, until, like, even Sean will be like, you know, shut the hell up, Katie. I know you're sorry. I've already forgiven you. Why do you keep talking about it? But I'm like, because I know that I did something wrong. And like, you can turn it into this big deal, or you can be like, you know, I've really worked hard. This hasn't happened in months where it used to happen every day, or whatever, you know, like, recognizing. That's why I think it's good to keep a journal. That's why I always tell everybody keep journals, because it's really good for you to be able to go back and be like, oh my God, like, look how far I've come. Like, my shit was all messed up then, but I'm pretty much together now, and it only happens every once in a while. It's good to be able to recognize that, like, wow, I was really emotionally volatile back then, but now it happens inside and I recognize it, and I do end up getting upset, but it's like on a much, you know, I would guarantee a year ago, Carla, if that had happened, it'd have been this whole larger ordeal.
Yeah, like, I literally went from, a few years ago, I went from getting that, you know, something would trigger that borderline panicky feeling, and it's like that physical panic, and it's a horrible, horrible feeling, to I would literally go punch a wall.
Yeah.
Like, broke my hand was in a cast, and it was not good times. And also, you know, I ended up just telling a lot of people I slammed it, or someone slammed it in a car door, because, you know, they get really weird looks. But the point is that I was there, and you know,
and you made it through the night.
Yeah, exactly. I cried about it. We talked about it. It was absolutely fine. Then we came inside, you know, and it was fine. Yeah, I saw her this morning before she went to work, and we were joking around. Like, it's completely fine. Whereas, like, 2 years ago, or even a year ago, I would not say something about why I was upset, and then just be quiet brewing about it, and be passive aggressive, or give her the silent treatment or whatever. And then, you know, 3 days later, or however long, I would just explode, and it would be this big dramatic thing. And now it's not. So yeah. And don't let the fear of going back keep you from going forward, because even if you go back a little bit, look how far you've come, and also just, you know, get back up on the horse, so to speak.
Yeah. And I agree. I mean, I think, have I done a video about fear? I feel like I probably have, but
I think so.
Maybe that's one I should do again. But I think it's important to journal, not to beat a dead horse about the journaling, but I think it's important to journal a little bit about what it is you're fearful about. If someone feels like it's holding them back, if you feel paralyzed by your fear, I think it's important to look at it, see where it's coming from. What is it you're really afraid of? Is it that things may not get 100% better? Or is it, you know, what is it that's making you feel so fearful? But like Carly said, don't, like, just push forward. Don't let that fear of, it won't be perfect, I won't do it exactly like I planned it, I may still mess up. That's life. It's a process. You can't expect perfection from yourself. And I think that's usually the fear that I hear from my clients most, is like the fear that it won't be exactly as expected, or my life won't turn out as I had planned as from a little girl. Like, it never does. And that's okay. And we're going to learn, and we're going to adjust, and we're going to evolve, and we're going to keep pushing forward and keep challenging ourselves, and it will get better. And it'll be then every time a situation happens, like let's say Carly's situation, like every time something happens, it kind of pokes those buttons in us. We're challenged, and we can rise to the occasion because we've been fighting, and we've been pushing, and we've been doing our work. And like, then you can look back, even though, you know, in the moment we may be like, shit, why am I acting like this? Or, I hate this. But we can look back and be like, but it's okay. Like, I ended up being way better than before. Like, because I used to do this. So go me, yay. And those are the things that keep us going. Those are the things that, you know, make us we're all works in progress, but it's what makes us better people as we challenge ourselves. And, you know, I mean, I'm really proud of you, Carly. And thanks for sharing your story. And yeah, don't be afraid, those of you out there, don't be afraid of sliding backwards or not doing it perfectly, don't let that keep you from trying, because sometimes just trying will help us see that it can be easier, it can be better. We're always stronger than we give ourselves credit for. We can always manage more than we think we can. And even personally, like, life isn't always great, right? Like, don't think that I just live in the land of like puppy dog tails and ice cream all the time. Like, shit can be bad. And like, I lost my dad and that fucking sucked. And like, things occur to you that you don't have any control over, but what you have control over is how you manage it. And so I think it's important that we as people recognize that things aren't perfect. Life isn't perfect. We're all dealt a different hand of cards. But if we keep challenging ourselves, we keep pushing ourselves to do better, to communicate more, to use our tools, it'll all get better. It's just, it won't be perfect. Life happens. We may fail, but you know what? We're not going to completely fail because we're at least trying. We know if we don't try that we'll just fail. That's something I'm sure if I don't do things, I'm just going to, but yeah, it's important that we keep working on ourselves.
Absolutely.
And don't be afraid, because everybody's path is different. And we, as we're kids, we think it's like this direct thing. Like, I'm going to get into school, and then I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to meet the person of my dreams, and then we're going to get married. Like, and we don't think there's going to be these hard times, but like the path could look like this, and it could take a lot longer, and we could go back and then come back, just embrace it. It's okay. We're all in it together. We all are going through the same thing. So
yeah, like the Ben Lee song, we're all in this together.
Exactly. I love Ben Lee. And I wanted to thank you, Carly, before I forget. So for those of you who don't know Carly, she does a lot of work online, on my website, on YouTube, on everything, on Twitter. Carly is one of my largest advocates, and I really appreciate all you do. And I can't thank you enough. Like, I've been trying to think of ways to like show appreciation to you, to let you know how much I know you do. Because trust me, like, for any of those of you who haven't been on KatiMorton.com, like, Carly's always on there. She's always helping me out. She's letting me know when that weird fucking guy comes back.
Oh my gosh.
Swamp
I'm glad that a lot of people know who he is now, but there's not very many people that are like, that get on like almost daily that know like his original handle or whatever.
Yes.
And
that's what we call him, because it's always changing. It's like the artist formerly known as Prince. It's that creature formerly known as Swamp Thing.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, but it's true. It's so true.
But Carly always lets me know when he's back, and she lets me know what's going on, and she keeps it a safe place, and I can't thank you enough. So know that I see you, and I appreciate you.
Thank
You're
you.
amazing.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And thank you for all the, like, obviously if I didn't appreciate what you do and love what you do so much, I wouldn't do what I do. So you're awesome.
We work together like a symbiotic relationship.
Yes. Exactly.
So, but thank you. It is.
You're welcome.
It's like one of those trees or flower. Like, it's like one of us is a peony, and one of us is the ants. Do you guys have? You know what I'm talking about?
I do. I know what you're talking about.
The ants have to eat off the thing so that the flower can bloom.
Yeah. Oh.
Symbiotic relationships.
Hashtag symbiotic relationships.
Hashtag symbiotic relationships. So that's all for today, everybody. And for those of you who are waiting, do you want to sing it with me, Carly? You know what I'm going to sing. Ready? 1, 2, 3. It's finally Friday. We're going to hit the road a running. Let the good times roll.
That is so true. I'm going to a chess museum tonight.
Oh, chess museum. You let those good times roll.
Yes, I'm pretty wild. Friday night going to the chess museum.
You party hard. Be careful.
And then the zoo in the morning, so I'm pretty stoked.
Oh, the zoo will be fun.
Yeah, they just got the penguins back, and they got the polar bear back, and they haven't been there since 2014. So 2013. Holy crap!
Perfect timing. I know. I'm like,
yeah.
Wow. How exciting! Oh, fun. Well, have fun. I am going. My girlfriend Rocio is having a birthday party. Her birthday.
The videos that you did with her.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I was like, you guys don't know her, but you do.
Yes.
Yeah, she's one of my best friends, and she's having her birthday party tomorrow. And we're gonna go have pupusas. She's El Salvadorian. It's a thing.
Oh,
it's a food,
okay.
and it's amazing. And Sean hasn't had them yet, so I'm super excited. They're like, have you ever had handmade tortillas, you know, where like there's a little lady in the back and she's pressing them? These are like taking 2 handmade tortillas and you put filling in them like different, there's like cheeses and herbs or like meat and cheese, or there's bunches of different variations. It's kind of like El Salvadorian ravioli of sorts, but they're large. They're like, you know, large. And then they squish around the edges and they cook them, and then you get like salsa. I'm so excited. Oh my God. I haven't had them in a while. I used to work downtown.
Sounds really good.
Yeah, they're amazing. I'll take some pictures, and maybe you can look up a place in one of the areas where you live and try pupusas.
Yeah.
They are delicious. So anyway, so we're going to do that tomorrow. And I think that's about it for my weekend that I have planned. If it's nice, maybe I'll get outside and hike around or something. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed.
Yes,
I like these things because it's like chitty chat. It's not so much like me, you know, telling
talking
you
your phone.
Exactly, talking to myself like I was doing earlier when you couldn't hear me, because that's not very cool.
I mean, it was kind of cool because I was like, what is she saying? This is like a game.
I know, and I was so engaged. I was like, yeah, and But Sean, there was 100 people watching.
Sweet.
Oh yeah.
Apparently promoting works.
Woo woo. I know, and that's the thing. I tried to get on all the sites and let everybody know. And I will be trying Periscope as well as Meerkat. Have you heard of this? Is this something?
No, I have not.
So there's a competition. I enjoy tech competitions because you're like, ooh, what's going to happen next? But Meerkat came out, and I love innovation. It pops up on Twitter, right? We can stream live. I can be like, hey, look what I'm doing. Howdy doody, anytime I want, whatever, for however long. And then I'm like, bye, see you later. And if you miss it, you miss it, which kind of sucks. It's also exciting. So you're like, oh my God, I was on, and yay. Yeah. So Twitter was kind of a jerk face and made it harder for Meerkat to do it because they're using their platform. It's all through Twitter. So Twitter created Periscope, another version of the same thing. So I'm going to hop in it and see which one I like better. Just going to, you know, even though Meerkat was first, I have to give them kudos. Yeah. So if you haven't, you know, if you don't follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitter, because I'm going to be popping up all over, trying different things. Yeah. Seeing which one I like better. But anyway.
Testing the waters.
Yes, exactly. I like the idea of like Meerkat, like whoop, and Periscope, you know, like pops up out of the water. Like it's so clever. Like, oh, I like a Meerkat better. It sounds cuter than Periscope. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it makes me think of like my cat because she does that all the time. And looks like a Meerkat.
Pops out, totally. Oh my God,
for sure.
So funny. But okay, so have a wonderful weekend, everybody. I'll see you on Monday with my regular video. Yeah, and I'm also filming this weekend. So like I said, if you have any eating disorder specific questions for videos, let me know, because I will be putting together some more. I'm always putting together more videos, let's be honest. But I know I haven't done any in a while, and I just want to know what you all want. Is there anything, Carly, that you have wanted, or anything you want to
say? I was talking to somebody, and forgive me, I can't remember who it was. Not that I would say it anyway, but recently, not too long ago on the website, they were talking about, excuse me, DBT. I was like, have you seen Katie's videos on DBT? Because there are several and they rock. And I found the links and sent them to this person, and they found them really helpful. And they're like, wow, hopefully she does more of these. And I think they're super great. I've never done anything DBT like officially or whatever, but I literally just looked it up on Wikipedia, took my own notes, and because of that, I don't over apologize anymore. Actually, that made me think of that earlier when you were talking about that. But yeah, those are really helpful. I like those. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll do more. I know I just kind of pick little topics along because there's so much in DBT, and like trying to make them like short enough so that they're like watchable and understandable. Yeah. Well, the ones that you've done are really good. I like them. Okay, cool. Good. Well, I always, and for any of you, if you wonder like how I decide videos, it's really based on you and what you guys say. But when I do other videos in a succession, like if I'm doing more depression videos or I'm doing more DBT videos, I watch the old ones to kind of see where I've been going with it. And so if you're wanting me to do something different from the way that my videos have been on that particular topic, just let me know.
But there will be new videos coming out more about bipolar disorder, because I've heard from many of you that my one video on it isn't enough, and I totally agree with you. And that video makes me laugh too, because my hair was like sopping wet. I was running late to work and I was trying to film the life of a YouTuber. And so, the whiteboard, I know, I was like a teacher, but I thought that was probably the easiest way for me to explain. So
it was actually, when I got diagnosed with bipolar originally, the psychiatrist like had a whiteboard and explained like it to me and all that. So that was kind of a positive flashback to that. But actually, in terms of like the other videos, mood disorder, NOS, I don't know, like I know it's like a, you know, it's a catch-all, but I have tried to like look stuff up about.
Let me put it in my phone.
And it doesn't, I just can't ever find very many things on it. And, you know, I've read basically all there is to read on bipolar, all of the bipolars, and, you know, cyclothymic and dysthymic and all that stuff.
NOS. And I don't, like, off the top of my head, I don't even remember learning about that, like, in a real way. So it's not just you, it's just not out there. So I'll do some research. I'll try to figure it out. Put that on my list. I do have other videos coming out about, get ready for it. You've all been waiting. Complex PTSD.
Drum roll.
Yes. I know. People have been asking for this for a while, and it took me a long time I had to do research, and it takes time. So complex PTSD, psychosis, more about that, how it can relate to bipolar disorder as well as schizophrenia, all that. What else? There's quite a few videos, so stay tuned. I'm excited. I'm filming and I'm also filming some Q&A answers for Like Kristen. So if you haven't watched her, she has a YouTube channel. She puts out mental health stuff, and she's asked me to, you know, field some questions. So I'll be doing that too. Yeah, so stay tuned for more. What? I think so. I think my next hangout, Sean's hollering from the back, with Charlie, one of my friends from Scotland, be my next hangout, but I will obviously let y'all know. So everybody have a wonderful weekend. I will see you on Monday.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Carly.